Everyone. Sorry for all that I did not post for a while. So here is, and so you remember Country Balls, the game. So in this Country Balls game, and called Country Balls. Well, I'm not playing this game. Today we're gonna talk about the history of Somaliland, my home, my motherland. Let us start. 1884, the start of the British occupation of Somaliland. Well, there was Egyptian rule before that, and the Isaac Sultanate before that, and Ahmed Gurey's Allah Sultanate before that, and the Ifat Sultanate before that, and Sheikh Ishaq before that, and Sheikh Yusuf al-Kounayn before that. But we have to start somewhere. but we have to start somewhere. So here we go. In 1884 began the British colonization of Somaliland. At first, Somaliland was a part of the British Raj until it became its own protectorate. Then comes Muhammad Abdullah Hassan, who the British called the Mad Mullah, to revolt against the British and colonialism. He and his dervish forces would resist the British and Italians and Ethiopians from the late 1890s to 1920, at which time the Ethiopian Emperor Iyasu V switched sides and aided him, plus support from the Central Powers during World War I. In the end, in 1920, the British bombed his headquarters in Taleh. So fast forward to World War II, where British Somaliland was invaded by the Italians. But just a year later, though, the British kicked the Italians out of the Horn of Africa. Now fast forward again to June 26, 1960, when British Somaliland became independent as the Republic of Somaliland for 5 days until July 1st, 1960, when Italian Somaliland gained independence and the two united to form Somalia. Now, there's something you need to know about Somalis. They are divided into clans, sub-clans, etc. Somaliland is mostly made up of the Isaac clan, descendants of Sheikh Ishaq. The first president of Somalia, Sharmake, was from the Hawiye clan, while his vice president, Muhammad Haji Ibrahim Egal, future president of Somaliland, was from the Isaac clan. Then in 1969, Sharmake was assassinated by his own bodyguards, and a military coup brought to power Siad Barre, who was from the Darod clan. At first, he was anti-clanism. He was also a socialist and did natural socialist things like build schools, roads. He even made a new writing system, a literacy campaign, etc. So he's pretty popular. Then in 1977, he invaded Ethiopia to try and liberate the Ogaden region, mostly populated by Somalis from the Ethiopians. Somalia, with the third largest army in Africa at the time, bulldozed Ethiopia. It was only when the Russians and Cubans started helping Ethiopia that Somalia was defeated. After this defeat, Siad Barre would turn into a tyrant and discriminate against the clans who would not support him. This would lead to the formation of Siad Barre opposition groups. The one important to us today is the Somali National Movement, or the SNM. It was made by Isaac living in the UK. They would then move their headquarters to Ethiopia, and from 1881 they started raiding Somalia's border. Then it was 1887 that they started making military gains. This angered Siad Barre so much that he started massacring Isaac whether or not they sympathized with the SNM. He literally leveled Hargeisa with planes that took off from Hargeisa airport and put landmines everywhere. Some landmines still remain in parts of Somaliland to this day. This was called the Isaac Genocide. Finally, in 18th May 1991, we declared independence. Our first president, Ali Abdurrahman Tour, and our second president, Mohammed Haji Ibrahim Egal, were elected by a council of elders. Democracy was established in 2001 with Somaliland's new constitution and the referendum for it. In it, only 3 political parties are allowed, so Somaliland politics wouldn't devolve into clan or sub-clan politics. Somaliland after that had a presidential election in 2003, won by former Vice President Dahir Yale Kahin, a parliamentary election in 2005, a presidential election in 2010, won by former SNM leader Ahmed Mohamed Mahmoud Siranyo, a presidential election in 2017, won by Kulmiya candidate Musa Bihi Abdi, and a parliamentary election in 2021. Although Somaliland isn't as great as you might think, it is one of the poorest countries in the world by GDP per capita, and there is some corruption in the government, and recently the 2 opposition parties created a mass riot against the meeting of political associations to choose which 3 associations will become parties, feeling they would lose their party status. I consider this riot similar to the January 6th riot in the US Capitol as an attack on Somaliland democracy. But I have hope we will overcome all these problems once the world decides to recognize us, and Somaliland will finally be on the world map. And Somalilanders can live happily ever after. So thanks for listening to Somaliland's history with me, and see you next time. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I am gonna show you my face when I reach 20 subscribers. Goodbye.